Episode 11, Warp Sonic. So is Sonic gonna warp in this episode or move at warp speed? Sally says that the machine has to be humongous to handle all of Robotnik's traffic. Antoine is just in the show to make mistakes with English, which never make me laugh. Sally and the others put on red 3D glasses to see the laser grid around it that's normally invisible, which is pretty cool. I thought Antoine was going to trigger the security system by falling off the bridge at first. Sally tells Nicole to do something, and Sonic wastes time bragging before jumping through the empty squares in the wall. Nicole's really boring compared to the comic. She's just a mindless slave for Sally with no personality. Sonic puts a disc in a computer that paralyzes all of Robotnik's traffic. How exactly? The vehicles would still work without needing a computer to work, right? I guess they're automatic vehicles. Wouldn't the SWATbots then be programmed to be able to drive them? An alarm system goes off, sending robots after the heroes, and they keep going into dead ends, wasting time with a failed attempt at a joke, which is at least a joke at Sally's expense, since she was the one telling them what to do. When they're surrounded by SWATbots, Antoine is pulled into a little slit in the wall, and Sally immediately has a crush on the civilian who saved them right away, which I found off-putting. You better do something to earn this aside from a supposedly handsome male voice. I can never relate to that. He says they're going to lower Mobius through the Pipeline Express. I briefly wondered if he was a traitor for Robotnik. After all, he's the new character. Antoine is scared being told that there's rats all over the pipeline wasting time, and then Sally sees an underground city with golden buildings and finds it beautiful. I guess this is a much better example of the NERB civilization. The civilian says that this energy chamber supplies all the power to lower Mobius, and without it they couldn't survive down here. I wonder if something will threaten it. I mean, where else would the danger go to threaten? It'd make a pretty boring episode in Action Series if nothing threatened the safe haven after Sonic went there. Sonic says he must be dreaming when having a chili dog, and then the alarm goes up right away. It turns out some giant robot rats are in the pipe system, and the hero's vehicle stops working for the sake of tension. The civilian warns Sonic about the rats' electrified tails, and one of the tails breaks a pipe with water in it. You know, we barely get to see Tails in this show. And whenever we do, he's just being read a bedtime story or being useless otherwise. They planned to have him be a worthwhile character in Season 3, but it was too late by then. At least he's sympathetic, which is better than Lost World, but still. Sonic jumps over the rat's tails, gets burnt by a pipe, and tricks the rats into not running into the pipes charging at him, but breaking the steam pipe with their tails and making themselves faint from the steam. That's more creative. Sonic uses a ring to enhance his natural abilities, pushing their car out of here, with a civilian pressing a button to open the way forwards. The civilian showed interest in power rings. I wonder if he'll try to steal a ring. He even asks if he can see it. The plot's just begging for a twist. Although, does it really matter if he takes one ring? The Lake of Rings produces them every day. The civilian says the heroes might not be trustworthy, but he knows what to do. Why would he not trust the freedom fighters? Did he have really terrible parents? Antoine complains to Sonic that Griff is stealing Sally's heart. Isn't he used to that with Sonic? Why is this suddenly a big deal? Griff gives Sally a mushroom flower, which is more interesting, and then Sonic gives her the same one. Sally is unimpressed at the idea of Sonic writing a poem. Predictably, Sonic just makes a poem about how fast he is, because he's a stereotype of himself in this show. You know, I felt like he had a lot more depth in Archie Sonic, even if he was more blandly heroic. I don't see why a French speaker would have a hard time saying the word poem. The letter O is first before the E. You'd think he'd just use an O sound like a normal person. Plus, you'd think he would have heard people saying that word and know how to pronounce it by imitating them. That's one thing I really don't get about accents. Sally insists that Sonic and Antoine owe Griff an apology for trying to steal Sally's heart. I can't side with Sally here either. I think he's trying to manipulate them on purpose. Griff insists that he's not trying to do that, and he gets them all to knothole with the vehicle. Sally kisses him on the cheek, and she shows her independence by getting out of the car without Antoine's help. You know, the underground city has gotten no development whatsoever aside from the energy chamber thing. Fleetway Sonic did this better than this. This show's version of it is just another city, but it's underground. It even has normal, boring Mobians in it. Griff's vehicle engine stalls, which gives him an excuse to stay in Knothole where the Lake of Rings is. I wonder if he can make it look like his engine is stalling on purpose. That has to be it. Antoine, who's apparently a royal guard when he's worthless, tries to obstruct Sally and Griff from getting to the Lake of Rings. You know, why can't Griff just tell Sally that he wants rings? He's just making himself look like a bad guy by being sneaky. Like if a ring shows up every day, then what's the big deal? His city could really use a ring, maybe as a backup power source for the energy station. I would have been satisfied if Sally had pushed Antoine into the lake. At night, Griff dives into the lake and reaches towards a green glowing stone as Antoine is sleeping and takes it. So is that the show's version of Nate's ring generator? I prefer for it to be a ring generating magical stone to a man-made invention where I have to wonder why Nate wouldn't keep it with them or destroy it. Griff's definitely being selfish here. There's no way he deserves the entire green rock more than the most active freedom fighters. Worthless filler happens as Sally and Sonic argue about their intelligence like 5-year-olds again. I hate every minute of this. It always feels so out of character for Sally. Oh, finally we see Griff again. He's such a forced villain though. Why can't he just go to the Lake of Rings every day to get a ring? Why can't he just be honest with the heroes instead of taking their resource away? Antoine panics at the Lake of Rings turning dark green, or is that just the art style? After Sally calls Sonic an idiot again, which always feels dumb, Antoine's actually useful by warning the heroes about the lake, and Sonic realizes that the green power rock is gone. I don't understand how Antoine figured that out. Maybe if the lake was constantly glowing in a small place with a green light, and that light vanished, I'd understand. This phrase has become a running gag, hasn't it? Sally is horrified, and then some robot rats threaten the city. Griff at least shows himself to be a hero when it comes right down to it by trying to attack the rats, who have to wonder how they even got here since this city should have a strict security system keeping them all out. But Sonic saves them. Griff says he used the power rock to keep their energy crystal alive, and without it they couldn't survive, reminding me of Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles. Sonic insists that it doesn't give him the right to steal from them, even though his city would die, and insists that he did something wrong. Oh, thank God, he rips the power rock in half and gives him half of it. What he should have said was that, hey man, you should have just told us what your problem was from the start instead of taking the whole thing at once. And this better be remembered in later episodes, have the Lake of Rings generate half as many rings, doing it only every second day. But no, I'm sure it won't be, because that would be continuity. And God forbid this be better than a regular, typical Saturday morning cartoon. I heard that about Sonic Underground. I hope the show matures already and gets over this phase. It completely takes me out of it when things happen that should have permanent long-term consequences, and those consequences never happen. And I'm so detached at this point that I just assume they'll never happen, and they don't. Okay, so this episode is surprisingly mature by having a well-intentioned extremist be a villain with Robotnik nowhere in sight. Thank you! This should be happening a lot more often. But still, aside from one line where he insists that the main heroes of the world can't be trusted out of nowhere, there's no attempt at a justification for why he won't even try to tell them what his problem is. Other than, I guess he just assumes that they won't let him have half of the power rock, which is a good assumption to make. But I was still confused. So the energy chamber keeping his city alive is running out of power. I guess it's necessary because it keeps air conditioning working and the fridge is working and so on. I assumed he would just go get a ring from the lake, not dive under it to find a potential source of the rings that's superior to the comics idea for it. I was really proud of Sonic for thinking to give Griff half of the power rock. Though it's just another example of patronizingly lazy negative continuity that will have no consequences. And I was proud of the show for having Griff cover the escape of some civilians from some robot rats, because they're reminding us that he's still supposed to be a good guy, just being overly sneaky about it, like a certain Acorn I know, at least in the comic. She doesn't have that many traits in the show other than being rude to Sonic. She's not sneaky or paranoid. Speaking of Sally, the subplot where Sally had a crush on Griff was really unnecessary because I'm sure she'll never see him again, and it just wasted space in the episode in the long run. And poor Tails, we barely ever get to see him. What does he even do all day? Go to school? Stare at the wall? Why even put him in the show if you'll just ignore him in favor of Rotor, who even himself is ignored? When I saw the pilot, I assumed Tails would be in every episode, showing Sonic's best brotherly side, since he is one of the most major characters in the franchise after all. But no, I guess not. Make way for Rotor and Nicole. Those two are such interesting characters the franchise would be dead without. I guess it's only Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog where we get to see Sonic and Tails be all brotherly most of the time.